amazing, funny. You can tell he's having a blast. And
ageless.
Yeah, the sexiest man on the planet right now.
Yeah, according to what is it?
The People
magazine. Yeah, People magazine.
Yes, but obviously I'm not going to spoil anything for you or anybody. But go see it. You shouldn't be disappointed. If you are, then you probably have a black hole where your heart should be. All right.
Oh, nice.
Ghostbusters Afterlife. A great achievement from Jason Reitman. They did it justice. And
there you go.
I believe it's got a pretty decent score on Rotten as well right now. Not that we take them too seriously all the time, but
right.
Yeah, go see it, everybody. It's worth it.
Oh yeah.
And with that being said, we'll jump into your main focus of the week, right?
Yeah, let's do it.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And now for the movie focus of the week.
Alright, so this episode we're talking about Come to Daddy. It's rated R. It's from 2019. It's a thriller. It runs at 1 hour and 33 minutes, and it's got a very smooth and well-deserved 86 on Rotten.
Oh, nice.
So directed by Ant Tipson, starring Elijah Wood, Michael Smiley, Stephen McHattie, Ona Gore, Madeline Sammy, Martin Donovan, and Garfield Wilson. The film centers around a young man, Norval Greenwood, who suddenly receives a letter from his estranged father, telling Norval to come visit him after 30 years of no contact. Norval reluctantly takes up the offer, and upon his arrival slowly starts to figure out something very strange is happening around him. The film first debuted at the Tribeca Film Festival in April of 2019 and was the first directing effort of New Zealand's own Ant Tipson, who is a well-known producer in the indie world, being attached to titles such as The ABCs of Death, Turbo Kid, Greasy Strangler, and Deathgasm. Come to Daddy is as wonderfully absurd as its title. Every character seems to be a bit strange, and this is maintained throughout the film, which makes for a very fun and consistent ride as things escalate for our very sheltered protagonist in Elijah Wood's character Norval, who ultimately ends up on an ever-changing journey of his own self-discovery. If you have a sweet spot for low-key thrillers, this one is definitely something you should check out. If you have yet to see it, or just want a refresher, look for it streaming right now on Prime. Thank you.
Very well said.
Appreciate it, man. Also at the top of the show right now, I just want to say we are going to get into some very spoilery territory. So if you want to be surprised, which this film does very well, maybe put us on pause, watch the film, and come back. You have been warned. So, James, I'm curious to know what made you specifically pick this one, other than Elijah Wood, for us to talk about this week, man.
Yeah. So, I think it was after, what's the film that we did a while back where he's a psycho stalker?
Maniac,
yes. So after that, I was like, man, I had never seen him in a role like that. So I was doing some research, and I saw this it was on Prime for free. So I decided to watch it, and this was maybe probably a few months or maybe a month or so after we had done Maniac, and it's still available on Prime, which is, I was actually surprised that it was still there. But I just remember watching it and thinking, like, he's such a good actor, and I'm so used to seeing him. I think that I said it before in the Maniac episode as, like, Frodo, because that's when you think of him, you think of Lord of the Rings. But I think it's cool to see him branch out into these not so familiar genres that he's doing now. And I think he has his own production company as well too, doesn't he?
Yeah, I believe they're called Spectra Vision.
But yeah, I thought this. I don't know. I just thought it'd be a really fun movie to rewatch and just talk about. I thought his performance was amazing. He does a really good job playing like a, kind of like a. I mean, in the beginning, he's kind of like a self-entitled, like little like douchey asshole hipster guy.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
You know, especially with everything that he's wearing in the beginning of the film, and I just thought it was hilarious how, he has to trek through the forest to get to his dad's house, and he's literally going through, there's no trail or anything, but I'm not to get into the film yet. But yeah, I don't know, I just thought this would be a fun one to review and rewatch, and I knew that you knew of it, so... yeah, it's pretty much just, I thought it'd be a fun thing to go over with you again.
Very nice. Yeah. Well, I'm happy you picked this, man. This is right up my alley for sure.
Yeah.
I
mean, what did you think of this when you first saw it? Were you surprised that this is the type of movie that he would be in?
Honestly, no, because for the past few years, I feel like he's just doing things that he believes in, like passion projects, right, where he knows that they're not going to necessarily make a ton of money, but just things as a fan himself. He seems like a guy who does things that he would want to see as a fan on the screen,
Yeah.
And that's so admirable and brave, as but he also is such a smart guy as far as his career, where he's done these huge blockbusters like The Lord of the Rings. So he's sitting on, residuals for the rest of his life, which gives him the power to have that ability to produce and do whatever he wants, essentially, whether it's successful or not, Just
that's cool.
In the same way, like Robert Pattinson,
Right.
where he got his foot in the door with Twilight, and it took him a while to kind of shed that Edward skin from specifically men,
Yeah.
But everything he's done, literally everything he's done since then, is solid, And now he's our new Batman. So look look how well he's fared.
That worked out. Yeah.
Man,
yeah, I just really enjoyed this one. I mean, we can get right into it if you want. I mean, the story. He for me, I thought it was. Who's the actor who plays his dad?
His supposed dad?
Yeah. Who we think is his dad in the beginning. I feel like I've seen him in a lot of things. I just very familiar face.
Stephen McHattie.
I mean, when you find out that it's not his dad, I love that aspect of like the twist halfway through the film, and then it starts to make sense why the guy kind of is just such an asshole to him.
Yeah, even if you think about
like the get-go.
Yeah, if you think about when so we start the film and we see Norval. Elijah Wood's character is like, he's just gotten this letter from his dad, who he's hasn't spoke to or heard of for 30 years. So it's basically like this blank slate of who it could be. And it works so well, right? So then when he gets to the house, he has virtually no idea who's going to answer, right? And so this guy answers the door, and and you can even see in his face, in his dad's face, like he's kind of like, who is this?
Like, who the hell are you?
And then he's like, oh,
he's like, Dad, I got your letter.
Yeah, and then the light bulb kind of turns on, and he's like, oh, come here, and then he goes in for this kind of big bear hug, and as me at first, as for us as spectators, we're kind of like, okay, like, let's see
We
where.
haven't seen each other in a very long time.
Yeah. So you just kind of roll with it, like, okay, this guy's just kind of a little odd, you know, and you go further along into the story, and it's super, like, the first half of the film is just them kind of trying to get to know each other, and the dad is just not really like a fan.
It's really like dark and uncomfortable.
His name's Gordon, I should say, right?
Yeah.
Or we find out his name is Gordon anyway. And yeah, there's just like this super uncomfortable,
like the tension between them.
Where
is
because
you feel it.
you know Norval is he's from Beverly Hills, you know. You can tell by his style and stuff that he's kind of like those little pretentious kind of hipster kids that you see every once in a while, and you're just like, what's going on there? That's him, right? And even down to his little like bowl cut. He has this like weird fade bowl cut.
Yeah, it's so weird. Just that, when I seeing it for the first time, I'm like, holy crap, like, this isn't the Elijah Wood that I know.
But again, he somehow pulls it off because it's Elijah Wood.
Yeah.
And then his little mustache and everything, and you know, and then Norval starts trying to, and it's weird because he's like lying to his dad, but you can tell that it's from some place good where he just wants to make the best impression that he could possibly.
Yeah, he wants that recognition from his dad. Of, oh, you're doing great for yourself. You know, I'm proud of you. He wants to feel that.
Yeah.
But he calls him on his bullshit like right away. He's like, you know, I consider Kendrick Lamar and who else does he say? Kendrick Lamar and Logic. Did he say Logic?
Yeah.
Could be some of my closest confidants or whatever he says. And he's like, oh, and I hang out, you know, I party with Elton John, you know, on a regular basis. And he's like, and he says he's like a real name. He's like Reginald, whatever. And he's like, that's his real name, by the way. And then like his dad's like, oh, you know, I used to drive Elton John around for
10 years.
A decade.
Yeah.
He's like, you know what? I got a great idea. Let's give him a call.
He's gonna flip his shit when he figures out that we're related.
Oh my god, yeah.
And then, you know, Norval immediately is like, no, it's late, like, we shouldn't call him. And then, you know, the dad just keeps going back like, no, let's give him a call, until he finally makes Norval kind of snap and go, no, please don't call him, like, you can't, or whatever. And he's like, you don't know Elton John at all, do you?
Oh man, yeah, the look of just like his like, I'm trying to think, like his ego just got deflated like so quickly, like within an instant.
And then his dad just makes things worse by he's like, you know, that bullshit doesn't impress me. If you want to impress me, like, have you ever been in a fight? And then he kind of goes on and says like that he's like, well, this one time I kicked somebody's ears off or something like that.
Yeah. So weird.
You know,
oh,
and then it's more of this, you know, and then I think Norval wakes up in the middle of the night to get some water or do something, and he overhears Gordon, his supposed dad, talking about some suspicious things, you know, and then he's real, like, he doesn't want Norval to know, so he even comes out of the room, and Norval, like, runs back into his room and pretends to be asleep, like a little kid.
Like a little kid, yeah.
And, you know, and by this time, you know that something very bad is happening, right? And then I think the next day,
even the when they go swimming in the or when Norval goes swimming,
Norval's like,
and he almost gets hit with a big ass boulder.
Yeah,
that his that his, quote unquote dad threw at him, and he's just standing there at the beach